Silvia Gina Hunt, and I'm here today. This is a special, and my special guest today is Miss RonAmber Deloney.
Thank you.
And I thank you for being with us this special summer event,
Thank you.
Summer, new day.
Yeah.
So tell me what you've been doing. Tell me all about it.
Well, since I was here last time, I've still been teaching and still been doing some project management.
Okay.
And I started DJing.
Okay,
so,
wow.
A local DJ in Dallas named J Clip. He runs the Keep Spinning DJ Academy. So I just finished level 1.
Okay.
And trying to establish myself as a spoken word DJ. So
Okay.
people think of spoken word, they don't necessarily think of, a DJ spinning spoken word records, but I feel like there's a lane for it, and so I've been working on that. So really just trying to channel or funnel my interest in poetry and spoken word into DJing. So yeah, I feel good. I feel like a musician of some sort.
Well, I know you already have a background. You go all over the world, Germany, London. You're familiar. So now this is just, like a new culture, right?
Yeah, it is, I think, for me. I never really thought about DJing until recently. I left the district I was teaching for, and, after the project I was working on finished, I was trying to, figure out what I could do and what kind of skill investment I could do, So
Okay.
I wanted to learn something new, something I could do with my hands, something I could try, possibly make money with, but with my hands.
Okay.
And so I thought about DJing, and then I remembered when I used to live in Germany, there was this poet, not a poet, but a DJ in Munich who was, he was a spoken word DJ. He only spun spoken word records. And I remember thinking that was so cool, but I just, felt like it's not for me. But, at the time I just thought, well, I never thought about that. And then I thought about that, in my life, and I was thinking, man, you always listening to different poets. You have a lot of spoken word records. You use them in your classroom. What if there were a way to mix Langston Hughes with Jay Dilla?
Wow.
Or, Gwendolyn Brooks with Sonia Sanchez.
Wow.
And turns out there is a way to figure it out. So I have just been trying to experiment with it. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I can't wait for you to come back next time with that
Yes.
a concept and be able to actually show us the actual proof of that.
Yes, I'm working on it.
Okay.
I'm working on developing a couple of sets. I have one 45-minute set ready. I'm working on another 45-minute set. And so I will be back with my turntables, and I'll definitely be ready to show you guys some stuff. So yeah, definitely.
All right, well, that's the new face. Now tell us about the deep down love, creative flow, RonAmber, the poet.
The poet. Well, the poet is still there. The poet never fades, never disappears. Still in collaboration with the New Night Babies over in Berlin.
Okay.
And so we are actually planning to get together next year.
Okay.
Once the DJ has sort of developed, and hopefully, well, not hopefully, but the plan is for me to then take the stage as a DJ and not just a poet or an MC, and be able to make magic, present something a little different with the poetry and the spoken word and the music that we normally do. So I'm really looking forward to how that's going to come together.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be real fun.
I'm interested in, especially when you do your little German thing with the German dialogue. I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's I have some friends who are spoken word artists, and I'm looking forward to just trying to reach out to people and see, if they've recorded some poetry, and I'm, really excited about learning about poets from other parts of the world, and even if it's not in English, I think the rhythm and what you can always feel in poetry is the intent, so and that carries over a lot more than people think with music. So I'm looking forward to what's possible.
Well, I'm looking forward to hearing that too. That sounds great. We'll certainly keep that in mind, and we'll check out, and keep things on that YouTube and keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
And see what you got going on. But wherever it's coming from, we'll accept it. London, Berlin, wherever. But, so no, that's quite interesting and very different, very unique, in fact, because I never heard of that. But so, you learn something every day. So thank you for acknowledging that and teaching me that. So that's really great.
Yeah.
So now just tell me, what are you prepared to recite for us today?
Today I have a poem this is probably the second time that I've performed this poem.
Okay.
And it's called A Poem for Tamir. Tamir Rice was the young African-American boy who was shot down by the police. They thought he had a gun, and it was a toy gun. He was standing outside of a recreation center.
Okay.
And, you know, things happen every day in the news.
Yes.
And, you know, we are constantly sort of learning how to process what is going on in the world. And when that happened, I knew it was something that I would write about, but I knew that it would take me a while to write about it because it was going to take me a while to process it, because I just couldn't imagine, I just couldn't imagine that whole situation. It was just amazing to me. And so slowly but surely this poem came out, and I'll recite it, and then I can kind of talk about some
Certainly,
of the
let's
things.
do that. Let's hear this beautiful poem. And it's titled
A Poem for Tamir.
A Poem for Tamir.
Mm-hmm. So many bodies hitting the water, with only the ocean to bury them. May ancestors build them a fire at the bottom and burn them with honor as we wait for El Nino to be still. All around us is Mississippi all over again. Golden mud and bloody bosom, full and bloated with brown bodies like rivers known to Langston and Lincoln. But what are their names? Does it even matter when the boats appear like ripples against the horizon, every day in waves and ebbs until 860,000 of them have drifted into the belly of disbelief? Amazing, they came by themselves this time. No merchant ships with floors beneath the bunks to load them naked into chambers. They kicked themselves away from shore, praying, I'm sure, singing perhaps, resolved most definitely with knowing that here we cannot stay. So many overboard hitting the cold blue sea, and the others knowing that someone will have to jump or the boat will sink. Who will it be? The Africans or the Arabs? North Africa or Western Asia? Greedy Trump, deflect, remove, eject, deny, divide, Sunni, Shia, Christian brother, Muhammad's uncle, son, or friend-in-law, inherit the throne of peace, not rape or hate, jihad for careless bullets, loaded rifles aimed for nothing. Tamir is dead, his life a ghost that leaves us all. Each time we grieve so much we don't even feel the grieving at all. This another thing June would say if she were alive. Must be true. We made of dirt and water, how they dig in and squeeze the blue-black life out of our blood, got their hands dripping red rose with our sweat. Finally, the fear has driven them mad. Things declared true and parlors. Finally, we are wanted, dead or alive. A whole Negro zombie apocalypse with a golden star attached to the bounty and no benefit of the doubt needed. We are not okay with the truth, and that is a problem that looks like point and shoot at your sister while she's reaching for her baby brother's blood soaking into the ground. Maybe it will grow something braver than this world, something less cowardly than bullets and white fear. Could they have considered a mother's heart when her sons die? The only thing that can shatter a mother's heart made of dragon glass and galaxy particles, but alas, her tears aren't made of influenza. Imagine that. Wild renegade imagination set loose across court dockets and gavel bangs. She can birth them, but they don't get to be young black gifted and alive. Keep them in the house and off the neighbor's porch. So much for the promise of 18, but I say silence the lullabies if they don't tell stories with boys like Tamir, so children don't get it twisted thinking they might actually jump over the moon someday. You don't get toys, you don't get joy or peace or happiness for long in this world. Only rites of passage in and out of jail cells and probation classes. The moment you score below average on your scholastic reading indicator, which, honey, let me tell you, is flawed. And ain't nobody mixing white clay for masking your skin in jail. No rite of passage, you got to live with your own black face. Be glad you even got chalk to mark where you fell. A whole split second to live or die, that's all you got. You'd have never survived the time lapse between eyes locked in on you and the misjudgment of a boy with his toy gun if all you get is a split second for a man to process fear so ancestral it seems rational. And that is the beast that must be slayed. But who can jump into the dreams of cavemen and rescue them from tales of travel and monster, all grown up into empire and bones? Where is that magic? May we find it and put it to good use once and for all. So I wrote that poem. I have a friend who lives in Sweden, and he's from Nigeria, and he calls me from time to time, and we talk about, you know, things going on in the world, and he sees things, you know, a lot different from the outside perspective. You know, why is America like this, and why is this, and why is this, and he's very insightful, though, about, you know, kind of shedding some light on the experience of being black in Europe. And, you know, sometimes we hear things on the news, even if we're watching BBC, it's not always, you know, the whole picture.
Right.
And so some of that was inspired from stories he's told me about North Africans, you know, also refugees loading on ships trying to get to Europe, and some of the challenges and conflicts that are happening on those boats that people don't know about. You know, people being thrown into the water, and you know, issues between North Africans and Arabs, and all of those different things. And you know, I just wanted to honor Tamir by writing something that was
profound,
very
powerful,
and comprehensive in a way, and thinking about, you know, this idea of struggle, not just here in America, but, you know, really sort of this global struggle for rights, and to be recognized, and to just, you know, sort of be allowed a chance to really just survive, you know. So that was, you know, that was my poem for Tamir.
Well, it's very deep and very, you know, what's really going on now, and such a sad, you know, separation between all people right now going on in the world, and particularly here in the United States. So it's a very, it's very, you know, it just brings to the surface, you know, more of the same as far as racial tension and inequality, and the things that we surely have to keep working on very hard, and, you know, we just really can't lift our foot up from it, because it's just like we can just sink right into quicksand.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that it's a very tiring struggle, you know, and I definitely recognize that, you know, a lot of people are really just tired of the conversation. They're tired of being on their side of the issue. You know, because depending on what side you're on and how much you've worked on yourself in terms of making yourself aware and dealing with whatever privileges you have, you know.
Well, I don't know if we even have privileges being black.
No, I'm not talking specifically about. I'm not talking specifically about black people. I'm talking about.
I mean, people in general. I'm not sure if the people that are considered, quote unquote, the color string, have privileges.
Well, I think there are certain privileges that are constructed within our society.
Yes.
You know, so these are not necessarily privileges that are sort of that are necessarily inherent to who we are, but in terms of the social construct of race and gender and all of these different sort of categories by which we define ourselves, like there are privileges within that, and you know, so depending on, like, you know, how aware you are of what those are and how much work you've done to actually sort of acknowledge and take responsibility for those, like, you know, you can find yourself in this conversation about race with somebody who probably has not maybe done as much work as you have, or who is not sort of as woke as we say these days, and it can be very tiring. You can get tired of talking about it. You know, you get tired of talking about it with people who don't really want to face the reality, and so, you know, I know that, you know, these conversations, like, they're very current right now, and people are, you know, like you said, we can't let our foot up from it, because the moment we do, then we lose a lot of ground on trying to find a solution, you know. But at the same time, I think that the arts, you know, in performance, poetry, music, and the various sort of ways that people express themselves can be a vehicle for finding new ways to kind of to talk about it and combat it. And you know, spoken word is just one way, and a lot of people are, you know, into it, A lot of people want to hear the conversations and the themes and topics that kind of come out of using poetry as a platform. And some people want to hear music. They want to hear a song. Like, they don't want to like sit around and listen to poetry and whatever. So whenever I'm writing,
poetry is something that is inspiring, and it also helps balance thoughts and creativity. It's a creativity. It's like a ballet. You know, once you have the heart and the spirit for it, and it's something that really generates you to a higher plateau. Like, it can help you put out your best, instead of, you can get all of that delusional away from all of this hatred and all of this stuff going on. And I can just tell you that was so beautiful. But I mean, I know that you go over to Europe frequently, but do you think that it's as bad over in Europe, this problem that we have here in the United States, or is it, what do you think? Just tell me, in your own personal opinion.
I think that some would say it's bad, some would say it's not as bad, some would say it's worse. I think they, in certain parts of Europe, depending on where you are, you know, people have a certain set of issues that they are facing there. And those issues, you know, like here, are, you know, related to race and ethnicity and all kinds of cultural discrimination and, you know, xenophobia and different things like that. And I think it's sometimes not fair to say, is it worse? Is it bad or worse? You know, is it worse over there or over here? Because everybody is sort of locked into their own experience. And for them, that experience is very real and very true and very valid. And it feels the way it feels to them, you know. So I can walk out of, you know, my house and I don't necessarily have to fear an airstrike, you know, but that doesn't mean that the fears that I have riding or getting pulled over as a black woman by the police, or you know, the fears that I have that are related to, you know, different types of discrimination on the job aren't real, you know, because they impact me in my life in a certain way. I will say that, you know, from what I know, and I definitely don't have the entire sort of like complete summary of experiences of things happening all the way around Europe, but I will say that, you know, things are challenging for people, specifically for black people over in Europe, specifically black people in Germany. I was just watching a video the other day where the police had attacked this man because he didn't have a ticket, and it was ridiculous, you know, the way they were treating him, and they were treating him that way because he was black. It was clear, you know, so they definitely have their struggles as well.
And let me ask you something. I know years ago, solution before we had Martin Luther King or Malcolm or any of these people coming out, it was more of a force where we simply was segregated, and it was just we just stayed away from this kind of particular areas. Do you think that could work now? Is that a solution for the moment, or is just what do you think?
I think that I don't think it's possible for us to segregate ourselves in that way. I think we are in some ways still very separated, but I don't think that that's a solution, because I mean that only led to a lot of political and civil and social unrest, and a lot of people lost their lives, and a lot of conversations were delayed, you know, because of that type of separation. And I think, you know, there are conversations that need to be had on an individual level. You know, people really need to be introspective and really need to challenge themselves. And there's some conversations that need to be had on a community level. And, you know, then within the government, there are conversations that need to be had. And what's unfortunate is that we have a government right now that does not seem committed to having those conversations at all.
At all. So it's very scary.
That's a challenge, because we can all see that we need to be having some conversations about these things, and you would expect the leadership to drive those conversations, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
Well, they seem to me, I don't know if you don't, in a way, their separation is to send everybody back to where they belong.
Right.
Like, to me, they think that is the solution. Like, people just go back wherever they belong.
Right.
I mean, that kind of mentality.
Right. The thing is that people don't necessarily belong anywhere. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
No, exactly. Because the world is for everybody.
Right.
I agree.
You know.
And our spirituality is in this whole world, and so the world is for everybody.
Right.
But it also runs, their gear, I think now, is also a tremendous amount of greed and never having enough. And I think that it's basically transformed into, they won't openly say it, but it's all driven on money.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think people, you know, wealth has given people a false sense of identity and power, and you know, people have defined themselves according to, you know, how much money they can gain, and they want it by any means necessary. I think it's a form of mental illness, honestly, myself.
Yes, it is.
Honestly, to invest so much power and so much interest into just a very sort of simple object, you know, I think is really weird and really strange. But I think that's also something that, you know, I can say as someone who did not grow up with sort of a surplus of wealth. So my values were developed in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Mine too.
You know, and
from a poor family, black family.
Yeah, you know,
Struggling.
And so I think there's something really really important about having that experience and being able to connect to not having a whole lot, because you just recognize that, you know, money is something, but it's not everything. And people who don't, they are not able to connect on another level. They're not able to connect emotionally with the world, with the rest of the world in a lot of ways. And so it's unfortunate, you know, and unfortunately these people are in power. So, you know, it's like, what do we got to figure out what we do about them.
Okay. So that's deep. So I'm going to be really interested in when you bring these turntables and reflect all of this hatred and mishap going around.
Yes.
But to leave today on a high note and spiritual and summer and soothing and youth, what poem do you have for us today?
Okay. All right. So I think probably I want to leave with a poem that it's called "Arriving in the Future."
Okay.
And it's just a poem that kind of it's a very hopeful poem, I think.
Okay.
So I was arriving in the future, love in my back pocket and the sun in my dreadlocks, passport cocked between my two fingers, tears behind my eyeballs because the struggle in my living room still lingers with me. I stepped into the city after myself. The world is singing to me because I am all that's left over from my grandmother's shoulder to my mama. Tears played across my living room. I am that melodrama and the heir to all of the karma that found me with generations of excuses wrapped around me. I stepped soundly into the growth trying to drown me in the fact that I have the act to do things profoundly if I can humble my soul to mumble my ancestors around me and hold tight to the God that loves highly in bright yellow my rainbow. I was arriving in the future.
Okay, that is just incredible. I love it because, you know, everybody looks forward to the summer, and here in New York, it's just like our summer it gets started later and later and later. But that's another thing that our government seems to don't want to verify.
Yes.
You know,
the environment.
Yeah, they don't want to understand that if we keep on doing negative towards our environment, the cause and effect is that our environment is going to do this and that. But on the beautiful side of that, the fact that it's another beautiful day, and I count at least about 8 or 9 straight in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just thinking that, you know, we are just so blessed. And I know that maybe you brought us some from Dallas. Is that it?
Yeah, I brought y'all some sunshine.
I tell you, we just been having rain and just cold, but that Dallas sunshine. You know, RonAmber, we really don't even have enough time. And once we wrap up, I just want you to give the people your email, your Twitter, or whatever.
You can find me on Instagram at SkinPolitik. That's SkinPolitik. You can find me on Twitter at SkinPolitik as well. You can find me on Facebook, RonAmber Deloney, or you can look up the New Night Babies. That's NEWNIGHT NIGHTBABIES. We're on YouTube, we're on iTunes, we're on Instagram, Twitter, all of that. So would love to sort of, have you follow us and interact with us, send us a message, and yeah.
So tell me when you're going to be going to over to Europe, to Berlin this year?
No, probably not this year. I'm working on some DJ stuff down in Dallas, so I probably won't make it over there this year, but most likely in the spring, if not in the summer. So yeah, it's coming. So
well, the summer would be better for you because you're teaching.
Right, and I'll be free in the summer. So just working on getting over there and doing some things and getting some things going.
Okay, well that sounds great. So I want to thank you again, Ms. RonAmber Deloney, for your expertise on, your poetry is just so beautiful and so profound. And I send you the prayer, the prayer bless you, and I'm your R.E.A.L, all the good things.
Absolutely.
And with it, just amazing. But we look forward to having you get out here. Maybe you'll be showing up on 2 shows. Show your talent. And a couple other shows, and show us what this is like. I would love to experience, and I'll certainly embrace it.
Thank you so much. I look forward to being here. I'll be back with my turntables. No, absolutely.
So we say to you, have a great summer.
Have a great summer, everybody.
Peace.
Peace.
B.E.A.T